Hey, what's up? This is your girl Diamond. So, let's talk about pose, Candi, and colorism. That's the subject matter of today. Boom. So, if you haven't watched Pose, bitch, catch up. Our review is down at the bottom, and I saved this part because it would have made the review so long, and it was already so long. So, let's talk about the tropes and stereotypes of black women. There are like 4 or 5 of them, 4, 5 or 6, I can't remember, there's like tons. Bitch, catch up. But these are the main ones. So we have, and these stereotypes of black women kind of come up all the time in art, film, television depictions, and a lot of times they are detrimental. They can be. Sometimes they're positive, but they always have a negative spin. Sometimes, a lot of times they're negative. So, anyway, bitch, catch up. First one, let's talk about the first one, mammy. So, mammy, the mammy trope has roots all the way back to slavery. They are usually heavy-set, matriarchal. They are usually jovial, big mama. They're subservient. They're like almost like maids. They're usually dark skinned, motherly, nice and sweet, self-deprecating, selfless. They're always trying to do everything for everybody. Homely, non-asexual. They're not sexy. They're more like mama type. Big mama. That's the external kind of idea of a mammy. The internal is I'm selfless. Like when somebody internalizes a mammy trope in themselves, like a real person, usually they gotta do everything for everybody. Everything for my husband, everything for my kids, everything for my family, everything for my job, everything for massa. Massa, please, I made this good soup for you. I hope it pleases your massa. Oh, I gotta go do all this stuff for my kids so I can be the perfect mother. Oh my God. Your life revolves everything around pleasing other people. That's mammy, bitch. Me. Boom. Another one is Jezebel. So Jezebel is sexy. The woman that is the nemesis of respectability politics, the nemesis of a good woman, a good, wholesome, pure, classy woman, the opposite of that. Opposite. She's the hoe, she's the over-sexualized woman, she's got the sexy Coke bottle figure, she's sexy, she has no morals, promiscuous, the bitch that you do not want around your motherfucking husband, bitch. This is the one that your mama taught you about, them women, them streetwalkers, them sex workers, them women that'll be in the church trying to take your man, try to sleep with the deacon, them Jezebels. That's what they are. Over-sexualized, no morals, low-class level women. Boom. Then we have the queen. So queen, there's a positive and a negative to queen. Because the negative is more on the side of welfare queen. So welfare queens, they like live by themselves. They have all these kids that live in all the government. They are lazy. They have no ambition. They're just breeders. They just breed babies. Just having babies just to file them on, get the earned income credit tax. They want that earned income credit. They got people filing their kids. They on welfare. They got all that kind of stuff. So that's the welfare queen. But the other positive queen, it's positive, but it's kind of negative too, because it's rooted in patriarchy. So the positive queen is the motherfucking Erykah Badu, Jill Scott. She got her hair natural. She's pro-patriarchy. She knows her place as a woman is to serve her king. It's to serve her king. She's the ultimate pick-me. She knows her place as a woman is under a man and to be at home with the kids. It's that good, respectable mammy too, but without the it's kind of mammy-ish too, but it's a different level. It's that kind of woke queen. That you know, she looks like she smells like shea butter, sage, and soul food. Like she's that you think Erykah Badu, think Jill Scott, think India Ari, think these, I'm not saying that those women are that, but Erykah Badu is. But a queen, like dudes, black niggas who are like hoteps, consider them like the pinnacle, the queen. They're usually sexy. They're not usually fat, because you remember this is from the male gaze. So they're not usually fat. They usually they usually have quintessential beauty standards, kinda. So yes, that is like the queen. Boom. So the last one, and why this is relevant to Pose, is the Sapphire. So the Sapphire is feisty, masculine in a feminine way, castrating. So the Sapphire, the name of a sapphire, comes from, I think it's Amos and Andy. There's a show back in the day called Amos and Andy where one of the black characters, one of the dudes, one of the dudes is supposed to be black. His wife, he always is trying to come up with these schemes to get rich, and they always fail. And his wife and her mother is always the one to look at him and read him and say, "Oh, you dumbass. None of these plans work." She's castrating. Like she is the type of woman who always looks down on men, never boosts his ego. She's feisty, she's smart aleck, she always got something smart to say. Don't take no shit. She's a sapphire. She's the honey. You ain't gonna do that to me. That when you see that kind of character on the screen, that feisty black best friend, you better not, I beat your motherfucking ass. You ain't gonna do that to me. She's feisty, she's masculine, she will fight, she will do all that kind of stuff. That's usually a sapphire attitude. Boom. So Candi on Pose was the sapphire of the show. She was the main sapphire. And usually when we have a conversation about colorism, your proximity to whiteness means you are more feminine when it comes to females' tropes. Like when it comes to female characteristics, when it comes to the character arc of a character. Usually the closer you are to whiteness is the more feminine ideal. So a lot of times back in the day, and to this day, clearly with Pose, the softer, more feminine girls, like typically light skinned, are gonna be given this image of femininity and softness, and the darker girls are going to get the harsher sapphire type of images. So look at Pose, look at each one of the characters, look at their complexions. Who of the girls has the harsh personality and image? Candi and Electra, and they're the darkest girls of the show. So Electra, her outward appearance is refined, and she put on this airs, even though she broke as fuck. She put on these airs of this act of refinement, but just as soon as Candi pulled out a knife, she pulled out a blade. When they were pushing Santa Claus down and robbing them for the things. And she's really heartless and feisty as well. Electra isn't soft in regards to her personality. Her outside is, she got the furs, but as far as her personality, it is a sapphire too. It is a feisty, cutthroat, heartless. Remember, the money that they stole from the Salvation Army, she stole from them and used to get her pussy. So she does these heartless, evil, villainous things. Sapphires are villains. They're usually they're depicted as the bad ones. Electra is the villain as well. So Candi and Electra, the darker girls of the show, boom. I think because some of the creators and writers of Pose they felt like positioning Elektra, the dark-skinned girl, as one of the pinnacle beauties was enough to balance that kind of colorism thing, I think. Was kind of to balance that colorism thing. But then when it comes to personality and character arc, they failed because they went back into those same levels of tropes that we see. The darker girls are feisty and more cutthroat, and the lighter girls are feminine and soft and considerate, and boom, 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 like Angel and Blanca and Lulu, and you know how Candi is. She's the feisty one, so that's why she went to the hotel. You know, so they fell right in line with those kind of tropes and stereotypes of black women. So when you hear this complaint about colorism from About Pose, in particular this situation, it kind of falls in line where you like, at first you like, I don't know. At first I was like, I don't know. And then I had to think about it and really feel like, okay, yeah, it's still falling into those lines of colorism. And here she goes. She has to be the one, the Sapphire, raise her up in her character arc as a Sapphire. And she has to be the one that is a catalyst to die and teach everybody a lesson. That goes back to the stereotype, to the normal social norm that black women are the fucking mules of social change. They are the ones who have to be the catalyst of, you know, these lessons to be learned. And so putting the burden on the Sapphire. So to me, that's kind of weird. That's kind of strange. Boom. It's really strange that Elektra didn't get a moment with Candi, and they didn't care enough to create a moment with Candi during her death episode. I really want to know the meaning behind that. I really didn't understand that. But the episode before, they did have meaningful, maybe because they had a meaningful episode the time before, the episode before with Miss Orlando, that may have been enough to where they didn't need that kind of moment during her death. I'm not 100% for sure because I'm not a writer, and so I'm not a writer on the show, and I am a writer. I'm not a writer on the show, so I don't really know why, but I did think about that, and boom. Later on, after watching the show, we do realize that Candi, the actual actress who plays Candi, Angelica Ross, has another gig on the making. So she was able to be killed off because she's gonna be on the next season of American Horror Story. So to get prepared for that, we can kill Candi off and go and let her do her work over here and use this. So, you know, in real life, it's not about a thing. She is going to do other work. Listening to some interviews after the show aired, they're leaning in, on this episode, they're leaning into the harsh realities of life as a black trans woman. That is literally what it is. That is literally what we have to deal with. That is the reality. Candi is a dark-skinned trans woman. And how this world is set up, dark-skinned trans women are the most at risk for this type of violence. It is just how the world is. And so when you are creating art, when I'm thinking about it, when I'm thinking about the creation of art, you can do two things. You can do the cutting edge things, like when whoever cast Spider-Man a couple of Spider-Mans ago, and they did the groundbreaking thing of hiring Zendaya as Mary Jane. That was a groundbreaking thing. That is breaking the mold of making every character white that doesn't necessarily need to be white. Do you feel what I'm saying? So you can, when you're creating your art, you can do that. You can break the mold and do something different outside of the normal colorism type of things. Or you can do the reality. And the reality of the situation is a dark-skinned trans woman that is not passable, who is on the street hustling her thing, you're sharing the reality. The reality is that dark-skinned women are more vulnerable. They are outside of what the world deems beautiful, stereotypically beautiful, and so treating them with less dignity is a norm when you're comparing them to a lighter skinned trans woman. Do you feel what I'm saying? So they decided to share with you, because if you look at the pictures of actual trans women who have been murdered and look at their complexion, most of them are dark-skinned black trans women. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them are dark complected. Like look, there's sites that has girls who have died. Go look at their pictures. It's not saying all of them are not dark skinned. All of them are not, of course not. Trans women are being murdered, white ones, Latinx ones, black ones, Asian ones, you know, they're being murdered, but the majority of them are dark-skinned black women. So this is the reality. When somebody says, this is a colorism thing, it's hard to say, it's hard to run with that for me particularly, because this is the reality. This is the show is a reality. It's almost like if, not the show, the show is depicting a reality. And so that is the truth. And so if you want to tell the truth, then this was aligned perfectly with the truth. I thought about it. I was like, why couldn't it be Lulu? Because they started to bring Candi into the fold and build up our care with her when she needed to help them about getting rid of that dead body. And I was thinking, well, maybe they could have did that character arc with Lulu. Lulu could have been the one that said, oh, let's go to Miss Orlando. You feel what I'm saying? Let's go to Miss Orlando, get our gigs, and take care of this problem that we have. And then she could have been the one that died. But no. It should have been Candi. Candi is the one who would have been the most vulnerable out of the girls in that situation. She's the one that's willing to take a little bit more risk, who has to take a little bit more risk because she's not getting things handed to her. Especially in the 80s, baby, colorism was rampant. Wanting to like light-skinned girls better was rampant. That's just what it was, honey. And so dark-skinned girls had to work a little bit harder and be in more riskier situations. And they are usually the ones who get the worst of the consequences. And so that's all I wanted to talk about in regards to the colorism deal. Make sure that you check out our reviews. It's posted up right now. And thank you for watching. Bye-bye.